Hello, I'm TheZOMBIEJ. This is our third HD video for the day. So, 4 videos in one day, more likely than you think. Stay tuned because I might have a bonus video for y'all, but we'll see. So I want to talk about Mindstorms. Yep, Mindstorms was another interesting line that only lasted like a year. So, you have these remote-controlled things. Again, like Spybotics, like we talked about earlier. These were remote-controlled cretins that had a battery box, which, you know, that's old nowadays, obviously, but some of these characters, some of these vehicle-like things, these creations were on treads, while some of them were also on actual wheels and tires. And there are some weird and quirky designs with some of these, but pretty much all of these used some Bionicle parts as well. So but again, like with Spybotics, it feels like the Bionicle parts were tacked on to these Mindstorm sets. And the Mindstorm sets had their own sort of style of designs. There were some weird designs, yet some of them were also just kind of interesting. Mindstorms, I never owned a Mindstorm set, so I can't speak to how exactly the controls function and work, but I imagine them to be pretty solid for the time. The 2000s definitely had some interesting Lego lines, and Mindstorms was definitely one that everyone sort of embraced, except for the few that were didn't really like Mindstorms apparently. Well, some of those people are idiots, but at the same time, you know, if they really think that Mindstorms was not that good, well, so be it, you know, let them be in their own little fantasy land. Mindstorms, in my opinion, was kind of an interesting concept. It ultimately didn't work out as best as Lego was hoping it would. It was another franchise, or it was another theme that Lego was just putting out because they needed more money, and that's all it really was. It was another cash grab theme. It was another remote-controlled idea, and Lego, for some reason, decided, well, this isn't working, cancel it. And I can't blame them, to be honest, because those remote controls and the electronic bits, the battery box, the motors, those cost a lot to make, I assume. At the time, they were probably not that cheap at all to make those vehicles, those Mindstorm cretins. It was not cheap at all. So they had to have been cutting corners somewhere, and that was probably with some of the designs. Some of the designs felt a little cheap in a way, at least cheap looking. There were other designs that were just kind of janky and weird and bleh. Fucking disgusting. But yeah, some of these Mindstorms looked freaky. Others looked just kind of plain and boring. Some had ideas that were reminiscent to, I don't know, like there were some Technic parts that were used that kind of make, and some system parts that were on some of these that made them look like there were some kind of robotic alien things, like Transformers, for example. But Transformers, it makes sense. With Mindstorms, it did not make sense. There were some ideas with these Mindstorms where it felt like, let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, basically. That's what I get out of it, at least. And as a result of that, this theme kind of failed. It made Lego enough money, but it wasn't looked back on by Lego with fondness. they looked back on the theme, obviously, and saw it as, well, this clearly failed, so glad we at least got some money out of it. That's fucking balls. Lego chose to cancel Mindstorms. And while this was heartbreaking for some people, for me, I didn't feel affected by it because, A, I never owned a Mindstorms set, so why should I give a shit? And B, you know, it's just another theme that fell by the wayside. And as a result of that, it's long forgotten. Well, some people still look back on Mindstorms with fondness, and with that comes nostalgia. So you go back and buy an old Mindstorm set, possibly your favorite Mindstorm set that you long since forgotten about and, you know, lost or destroyed or broke. And so you buy it, realize it's too expensive, but you buy it anyway because, yeah, you get it in the mail, you build it, and you discover it actually works. And you get that nostalgia. You get that nostalgic vibe from playing with these fuckers. Oh. It's that nostalgia that really gets you every time. It's like with Spybotics and the other theme that I talked about. I get nostalgia from Bionicle 2001. Every time I play Minogue, I have to I just smile. I love the aesthetic of Minogue, and I also love the aesthetic of Tales of the Tohunga and The Legend of Matanui. Really, 2001 was the best year for Bionicle. It was the launch year, yes, but that doesn't mean anything. It's the perfect start for Bionicle. It really was. It worked. And this is why we hold Bionicle in high regard, because that first year was perfect. Yeah, but it really was. Yeah, 2007 had a fantastic array of sets, and it really knocked it out of the ballpark. But let's get back to Mindstorms, shall we? Mindstorms had some good ideas with some of these sets. But overall, in the long run, it was costing Lego a lot to actually, you know, produce the electronics for these sets than it was to make the actual plastic parts that they usually make. So, yeah, at the end of the day, they canceled it, and as a result of that, some of y'all probably got upset and probably cried. But you shouldn't let the cancellation of this Lego theme just ruin you, you know? It's just Mindstorms. It's not that great, to be honest. It's like with Spybotics, it's not that great. But both of these themes are looked on with fondness even today, because they were remote-controlled things with unique builds, interesting designs, and tacked on Bionicle parts. But really, you want these sets because of the parts. You want to build your own variants of these things. You want to build your own Spybox. You want to build your own Mindstorm set. That's really what it is, you know. Be a mockist and be a good one too. It's what we all strive to be for the most part. So. I gotta say about Mindstorms as well, it was not really my thing at the time, but in recent memory I can understand why people like these things, because I look at them nowadays and think, okay, I see it. To where back then I was like ignoring this theme because I was all about Bionicle at the time, and I still am all about Bionicle, but I tend to give other themes a chance to shine for me. However, it just feels like there are just some sets and some themes that just are destined to fail. And Mindstorms was destined to fail from the start. it's because of those electronic bits that they were just hammering out, and I bet they were doing so on the cheap as well. So, as a result, LEGO stopped production of those sets, and they didn't last probably past the year that they were released in, and that's a shame. Because this was another theme that had potential. It had so much to offer, it seems. It feels like there was a lot of unique ideas as well. But overall, this was just another theme that kind of was brushed off by LEGO. It was like, we don't need this anymore, fuck it. Yo, fuck you too, LEGO. So, but yeah, so overall, when it comes to Mindstorms, what else does there have to be said about these? Well, they're interesting. That's one thing. They cost too much to make, I imagine. And, well, they didn't really cost, they cost a lot for us to buy back then, because some of them were probably like $40 or $50. Yeah, these weren't cheap at all, and they're definitely not cheap nowadays, so I'm not going to get any of these, because they're not cheap. They're just too expensive. And they were expensive back then. Think of how much they are nowadays. Think of how much the Spybotic sets are nowadays. I mean, yeah, if you go on eBay and you buy Tahumata, chances are you will find them for less than $20. And that's the best you're going to get. If he's complete without the canister, instructions, and poster. I managed to find Tahumata complete on Bricklink for a decent price, definitely less than $20. I still have the canister, I still have Tahu, I still have the instructions and the poster. Poster's on one of my walls. Yeah. So, if you want to go back and buy up all the Mindstorm sets, I'd suggest you don't do that, because at the very least get one and see, you know, what it does for you. Because it feels like this theme had something to offer individuals, especially back then, to where it does nowadays. It doesn't really offer much. It feels like it was just another footnote in the annals of LEGO history. And that's the same with Spybotics. Alexa, stop.
This is a reminder.
And that's a shame, because, you know, it felt like Spybotics and Mindstorms could have competed with Bionicle toe-to-toe together. But unfortunately, they just couldn't. It was expensive enough for LEGO to make the remote controls and the battery boxes and motors for the Manas. Think of how much they would have done for the Spybotics and Mindstorms combined. Yeah, so overall, what else can we say about Spybotics? And, well, I already said about Spybotics in their last video, but yeah. What can we say about Mindstorms that we haven't already? Not expensive. Well, okay, it's expensive to create these things. It's expensive to buy these things, and it's all just a big expense thing on LEGO's part, and that's really their fault. But you know, they were just all out for the almighty dollar, and you know, a lot of companies do that. All companies are out for the almighty dollar, but LEGO was doing it in an effective way that also gave fans joy and pleasure when it came to playing with these sets. Because, you know, kids liked remote control things back in those days. I had Vertigo. Yeah, remember Vertigo? Remote control thing, you make it you make it spin and light up as the spreading legs, quote unquote, and it lights up, so on forward. Had that rechargeable, foldable battery. I loved that thing. I loved playing with Vertigo. Unfortunately, Vertigo does not exist anymore. Broken, dead. I had to throw them away. I had no choice. I would like to get Vertigo back sometime. Probably the green one, but I had the orange one, so. Yeah, Vertigo was great. There's also one called Shell Shock that, you know, transforms from a shell to a weird thing, and then it transforms back to. And there's also Regenerator, where, you know, you drive the vehicle into like a wall, and then you can press the button and it regenerates and forms back into perfectly new. Yeah, those were great vehicles. Those are great remote control toys back in those days. And I only had Vertigo. The possibilities are endless with remote controlled toys. But nowadays, kids don't seem to give a shit anymore. Nowadays, remote control toys are, well, seen as ancient relics. I mean, at least when it comes to the Lego Technic stuff, there's some knockoff Lego Technic sets on Amazon that have remote controls that you just slip some batteries in and there you go. I have a couple of those. In fact, I have 3. I have a tracked vehicle that is kind of like a bootleg of an existing Lego Technic tracked vehicle, but the problem is that one was way more expensive, and the one I have was like $40. Yeah. And it also was a different design, but similar concept in a way. The other 2 remote control vehicles I have, they're just fun, and they're both in their alternate models, which I like better. Again, these were knockoffs. They're great. Hours of joy. Well, it seems like back in the 2000s, remote controlled toys, remote controlled vehicles were just that was their age. That was the prime. That was the age of their prime. You know, that era was where they were most prominent. Nowadays, you don't see remote controlled vehicles as often in kids' hands. Kids just want something that you can control with an app on an iPhone. And that's not fun. Where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in controlling something with a touchscreen app with your finger on your phone? There's something about that just seems so monotonous and boring that I don't really care at all. If you like it, you're still wrong. Go buy Vertigo and have fun with that one. Because I had so much fun playing with that vehicle. It was great. I love it. Sad that it broke. And it wasn't because the battery or the electronics broke or whatnot. It's because it literally broke. Like some plastic was broken, and as a result, one of the legs broke off, and I couldn't play with them anymore, so I threw them out. I would like to get a new Vertigo at some point. Probably the orange one again, because that's the one I had for Christmas of whatever year it was. And yeah, you make it spin and light up, and that's just so much fun. Let me know what you think about Mindstorms in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about Vertigo, Shell Shock, Regenerator, and all of those cool remote control vehicles from back in those days, the 2000s. Let me know about that all in the comment section below. And what was your favorite Mindstorms set? Because I know there was more than one. There was definitely a few. If I'm wrong, you know, let me know about that as well. And between Spybotics and Mindstorms, which one is your favorite? Which one's the best? Which one's the worst? Let me know all that in the comment section below. I'm TheZOMBIEJ. I'll see you folks later. Have a good fucking day, and peace.